Ariel is a fire demon disguised as a human. She can spew flames over 1,000 degrees Celsius, turning people to ash in an instant. This is exactly why she shows no fear when facing the monster hunter, Nick. But Nick does not come to kill her this time. He is here for a bizarre arson case. Late last night, two thieves broke into a warehouse to steal copper. They found the lock broken and burning hot. They realized someone had beaten them to it, so they rush inside without hesitation. Once inside, they see the copper has already been loaded onto a cart. Before they can find the intruder, a sharp, burning smell fills the air. Moments later, a burst of flames erupts and engulfs both men. The arsonist is Ariel's father, Fred. This is the real reason Nick has come to find. But Ariel tells Nick she has not seen her father in a long time. Little does Nick know, he does not believe her words at all. He leaves her his business card and tells her to contact him immediately if she finds any clues. After Ariel finishes work, Nick secretly follows her home. As he slowly approaches to observe, he spots a pool of black slime on the ground. Before Nick can figure out what it is, Ariel suddenly jumps out and tackles him to the ground. Nick then realizes Ariel has known he was following her all along. Just then, Nick's phone rings. Ariel quickly picks it up from the ground and answers it. The caller is Nick's girlfriend, Juliet. Juliet grows jealous upon hearing a strange woman's voice and hangs up at once. Helpless, Nick has to rush home to explain to Juliet. He tells her every detail of the arson case but says nothing about the fire demons. Luckily, Juliet is reasonable and chooses to trust Nick without blaming him. What Nick does not realize is that Ariel has followed him to his home in secret. After Juliet falls asleep, Nick returns to the trailer left by his aunt. He finds records about fire demons in ancient texts. These mythical creatures are solitary by nature. Females are far more ferocious than males. They often build their lairs on the tops of mountains. Their lairs are filled with gold, jewels, and countless human bones, like a gateway to hell. Anyone who finds one must stay extremely cautious. To track down Fred, Nick and Hank go to the railway department where Fred once worked. Staff members say Fred vanished after his wife died. They last saw him on the mountain at the end of the railway line. Nick immediately returned to the police station to get the railway design drawings. He found the railway's end was on the mountain, and it had long been abandoned. Just then, Nick received a call from Ariel. She asked him to come to her house that night, saying she would tell him about Fred. Nick knew Ariel had ulterior motives, but he had to take the risk to find Fred. That evening, Nick and Hank arrived at Ariel's house. The room was pitch black and empty. What's more, they noticed the ceiling and walls were decorated with all kinds of copper products. This was very similar to the ancient text record that giant dragons loved collecting gold and jewels. Except fire demons replaced gold and jewels with copper. Little did Nick know, he had already fallen for Ariel's diversion tactic. When he got home, he found the person lying on the bed was not Juliet at all. It was Ariel. Juliet had already been kidnapped by her. Nick forced Ariel to hand over Juliet, but all he got in return was the scorching flame she spewed. By the time he chased her out, Ariel had already disappeared without a trace. Moments later, Ariel called him. She warned him that if he wanted to save Juliet, he had to come alone. No police allowed. She even insisted Nick knew how to find her. Nick couldn't bring the police, but he thought of his werewolf friend, Eddie. Since Nick's girlfriend was kidnapped, Eddie did not hesitate to agree to help. Using the railway design drawings Nick provided, Eddie speculated that the fire demon's lair was most likely in the mountaintop tunnel. It was the perfect place to build a nest. Soon, Nick and Eddie arrived at the mountaintop. Sure enough, they found Juliet's car. Meanwhile, Ariel had already taken Juliet, who was tied up, into her father's lair. She then woke her unconscious father. It turned out Ariel had lured Nick here to help her father fulfill a wish. Fred had been living in guilt for failing to protect his wife. Ariel kidnapped Juliet to act as their mother, and she set Nick up as the villain who would steal their mother. Only by defeating Nick, the monster hunter, could Fred let go of his inner obsession and cheer up again. Meanwhile, Nick and Eddie sneaked into the cave quietly. Nick told Eddie to hide in the shadows and wait for the right moment to act. He picked up a copper stick and called Juliet's name loudly. Seeing this, Ariel immediately shouted to her father that someone was here to steal their mother, telling him to protect her at all costs. Luckily, Eddie soon found the tied-up Juliet. He whispered that he was Nick's friend, and only then did Juliet stop resisting. Just as they were about to move, Eddie sensed someone approaching. It was Ariel. She was planning to move Juliet, but little did she know. Juliet punched her hard and stunned her. Ariel couldn't believe a human had such great strength. At that moment, Nick heard a cough. Seconds later, a burst of flames rushed straight at him, and he dodged in a hurry. Enraged, Fred saw Nick as the enemy who would steal his wife. Since the cave was filled with flammable gas, they couldn't shoot. Nick had to fight Fred hand to hand. He also had to dodge the flames Fred spewed at all times. Those flames were over 1,000 degrees Celsius, and he dared not let his guard down for a second. During Fred's moment of pause to catch his breath, Nick seized the chance and rushed forward, but he soon realized his strength was no match for Fred's. Just as Fred was about to spew dragon fire again, Nick took the opportunity to stab him through the body with the copper stick. In Ariel's eyes, her father's death in battle might have been a way to fulfill his wish. Nick had helped her father, but he also became the man who killed her father. Revenge was Ariel's monster instinct and her family's duty. She then spit out a lot of black liquid, trying to burn everything here completely, including Nick, her father's killer. But whether on purpose or by accident, Ariel didn't spew any flames even after spitting out all the black liquid in her body. It wasn't until Nick ran out of the tunnel that the tunnel exploded violently.